Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Daniel Hood Roofing. On Friday, I was flying back home while all the storms and wind and hail and rain was beneath me here in East Tennessee. And all the while, I was wondering, is this stuff hitting my home? Is this hurting my roof? Folks, if you think you might have had hail or storm damage to your roof this past week, call Daniel Hood Roofing for an inspection ASAP. If you wait, your insurance company can try to deny coverage. Daniel Hood Roofing will have your back. DanielHoodRoofing.com. All right, this is why I said UT needs to take advantage of the NIL advantage that they have while they have it, because you're already seeing schools try and change it. Here was a story that came out this week. University administrators, part of a task force to review NIL, are finalizing additional guidelines that are expected to clarify that boosters and booster-led collectives are prohibited from involvement in recruiting, multiple sources tell Sports Illustrated. The guidelines will provide more guidance to member schools on what many administrators say are NIL-disguised pay-for-play deals orchestrated by donors to induce prospects, recruit players off other college teams, and retain their own athletes. We don't need to read the rest of that. My questions would be, how do you put the toothpaste back in the tube? And what's the difference between a booster and a collective? Good luck trying to decipher that. But also, if you're UT, should you be worried? Because Spire Sports is leading the charge in all of this. Everybody in the country, whether anybody's seen the contract or not and said A to B, everybody in the country believes Nico is your $8 million quarterback. Should UT be concerned that now there's a push for people to come back and say, punish these guys? You have athletic directors out there, like the guy at Colorado, who is calling for the hammer to be dropped on people who've been handing out payments. The Athletic broke a lot of these stories. David, you broke the first one with Spire Sports. I know you've got something else in the pipeline coming up. Tell me about, should Tennessee be worried about some way to come up with new guidelines, be it national guidelines that Greg Sankey convinces Congress to drop, or some sort of new NCAA or a new whatever to guideline this stuff?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the short answer is more worried than you were yesterday or 2 weeks ago, but not really that worried. I think ultimately
David hasn't lived here too long.
I think
the answer to should UT worry is always hell yes.
But I think ultimately, like, I've spent most of the last few days talking to a lot of agents and lawyers and people in the collective space, and people can say, well, we don't want this recruiting aspect to be part of it, but they look a lot like sort of the middle school principal who's trying to make sure that nobody's dancing too close. And that's fine in middle school, but when you're at this level, that's antitrust. And so you're going to be sued immediately the second you do that, because you have these people who are saying, I'd love to pay you $400,000, $500,000, and these players are saying, that sounds amazing, and you have the administrators in the middle saying, whoa, we can't have that. Whatever you want to frame it as, at the end of the day, a court is going to see it as you're limiting compensation. So it's an incredible time to be a lawyer.
Well, to make it clear, you're talking about schools talking to their own governing body, the NCAA, saying, we need you to regulate us more, and if the NCAA does that, the boosters would then sue them.
Yeah,
or players could actually.
It could be anyone.
Well.
I mean, again, I think
or
you're probably
constitutional.
Yeah, you're probably going to see it be someone that represents a player. So it might be a collective. It's probably going to be an agent for a player that's helping broker some of these deals, or a lawyer for a player that helped sign that deal.
I would guess if somebody tries to come back and hit a collective, whether it's Spire Sports or the one at Texas A&M, or they got 3 at Texas A&M, or the one at Oregon, wherever, I'm guessing that booster would turn around real quick and sue. They'd find some reason to sue and say, whoa, this was the guidelines were there. Nobody was enforcing it. We played by the guidelines as we saw them. What are you doing?
Well, ultimately, we'll get into the DC stuff later, but if you're a administrator, you have a losing hand, because this is an issue that you are not going to get federal help from. Republicans oppose this because it's infringing on the free market, and Democrats oppose this because it's hurting employees. You have both sides of the aisle that do not like you and think that your whole operation sucks, quite frankly. And you can't really do anything. You can act like, well, we don't have these handcuffs on and we're going to, stomach these lawsuits. You can stomach a couple lawsuits, but if people want to say, well, we're going to punish the collectives, we're going to punish the schools, not the players. It does punish the players because it de-incentivizes people from paying them. You are limiting their compensation. There is no way around this that doesn't end with schools or whoever is trying to inflict on this in a courtroom, losing, writing a big check. That's how
Remember
this.
when they had restricted earnings for basketball coaches?
Yeah,
Got
that's
sued,
how.
lost millions.
Whatever
Yeah.
road, I don't know what the future holds, but all the roads that lead to tighter guidelines lead exactly to that scenario: in a courtroom, losing, writing a check in.
There are cases in courts right now. It may take a while for them to be litigated, but in California, there's a push to make all the athletes employees. You're talking employees, employers, then you're talking all the hassles that come with that. There's another lawsuit out there that just went in and out of my head that is from former players. Marlon, you can get on this, saying, where's my back pay for the NIL that I missed out on because you didn't let me have it? There's just, I'm telling you, it's a bad time. Well, we'll ask that a little later. About college football fans.
Gene Smith's already said it. Yeah, we expect a lot of lawsuits.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Good luck. I mean, again, it's
A mess.
it is a mess.
Should UT fans want regulation for all this NIL stuff? That's a bizarre question. You may immediately think no, and the answer may be no. But there are some reasons you may say yes. Should they want the Wild West or should they want some regulation? We'll discuss. Come on back.